This is behind
the bit.
This is
behind
the bit. This is
behind the bit.
Ryan, another behind the bit has been released, and I think fans are going to love this one. Dirty Demon of Debate and the Angel of Nuance. Which one of those characters are you liking more? Angel of Nuance, Dirty Demon of Debate?
Anytime I have the opportunity to get more Billy, especially more Billy in a creative sense, I'm gonna go with Billy. The Dirty Demon of Debate. I can't stop myself from hearing Vince D'Onofrio. What's his name?
The Men in Black, yeah, Vince D'Onofrio.
Yeah, all I hear is him.
Vincent.
And sugar. Like, that's all I hear when Mike does his demon voice. So I can't stop hearing that over what he's actually saying. It's a good character. It's a great character. The character should come back. But in this day and age where everything's gotcha virality on terms of takes, it wouldn't be a spot for him because everyone does that. They're just on the cover of ESPN or on the front page with a black tank top on. So, yeah, I got to go with the Angel of Nuance. How about yourself? Which, when we saw that look into the past, what was more shocking to you? Because I think everyone saw that and they were like, either, wow, they sounded like that, they looked like that, or what was something that might have stood out to you after you tell me which one you preferred?
Well, I'm going to go Dirty Demon of Debate here, because without the genius of the Dirty Demon of Debate, there is no Angel of Nuance to counter it. So that's my reasoning on the Dirty Demon of Debate. I always loved it when he would make an appearance and, tell Greg Cody to pick a side between the Patriots or the Spurs, which dynasty was more impressive, or HR violations with Mina, or telling Pablo to rip Chris Paul or Steve Nash, pick one and decide. I also loved how over time, the Dirty Demon of Debate wouldn't just tell him to pick a side, but would then throw out his own question that he wanted to get an answer to, and I'll hang up and listen and do that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna ride with the Dirty Demon of Debate as my preference, and I think this might be my favorite of the behind the bits that they've done so far. I think it's like a classic Le Batard. You said bring it back. I don't think they're gonna bring it back. It sounds, the one thing that was shown from behind the bit is it seems like it was really complicated to make it happen because of the producing Mike was having to do on it. And if you go back and listen,
you could argue Mike isn't always producing. Mike isn't damn near in that seat at all now. So if Chris Cody is producing and Mike is free to be the Demon of Debate, and sitting across from him, the Angel of Nuance, there might be more logistical abilities to do it. But
true.
I think part of Mike doing it. So you recall the Indiana Jones whipping soundboard work of Chris Cody? That only worked as well as it did because he was producing while doing it. Mm-hmm. If he wasn't the one controlling those whips, would we have gotten a level of comedy that would have probably been different? Sure, because it wouldn't have lined up. But it coming across so well the first time was because he was sitting in that seat. I think there might be something where Mike needs to be in that seat while also producing smoke, lights, and all the bullshit that comes across with the Demon of Debate.
I mean, I think out of all of them, which is going to be all the behind the bits that people want to see return, the cries are probably only going to get louder for Peepo. Because
Peepo.
I think it's time to jump into our main show here. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Dan Le Batard Show, the fastest growing Dan Le Batard Show fan YouTube channel. We blowing up. We're over 1 million views now on the channel, Brian. Boom.
Count them.
You know what one of those big viewership videos was for us, Brian? A short I made on the ending of the Miami Virginia Tech game. Lot of big college football games. That was one of the biggest here. I'm not going to rehash any of the takes. Everyone from the show, I feel like, kind of covered it. But I was a little bit surprised how everyone was kind of like, oh, I could understand how, like, it was hard for the refs to review. I felt like watching that there was one clear shot that showed that it was clearly an incompletion, in my opinion. And that was the side angle of the shot where, like, the receiver never had that ball for a long amount of time, and then it's being knocked out by a guy who's out of bounds. I was surprised that Mike wasn't being more adamant that, like, it was an obvious incompletion.
I thought he was being adamant enough. I thought he wouldn't he needs to stop this thing he's doing where he's trying to play the middle. You're compromised. You are compromised, Mike. Nothing you say, don't say, type, text, produce, create, none of that stuff will ever shake the fact that you are a bought, purchased mouthpiece for the University of Miami. So anything you say will be done. You know, we need to get a mouthpiece for Mike's mouthpiece, because he needs to go in there. Because all I'm saying is you can't circumvent the rules. And the rules were, win or lost, sometimes shit gets called wrong. We all aware of that. That's the reason why people don't want VAR and robots and AI to rule and judge over these games. Cool. But with that comes, it might bite you in the ass sometimes. And it was surely about to bite Mike in the ass. And it just happened to work out for him. I think it's unfortunate because now...
in the head, it seems like the refs called it a touchdown and was like, let's go to review. There's definitely going to be something clear. Like, I don't think the refs knew, that it was a touchdown, but they were like, let's just call it a touchdown. I think it was a touchdown. I feel like if you think it's a touchdown, you got to call it incomplete. Because if you don't,
because you know what they else thought was it. You know what else they thought was something? They thought the immaculate catch was something. They thought it was, and it has gone down in history as the immaculate reception, right? Did it touch the ground? Who knows? The world doesn't know. But we're just assuming it didn't, right? And guess what? It's heralded as one of the greatest plays of all time. We were robbed of that moment because of Mike Ryan, because of the rest of the people who want to be pundits for this crappy ACC team that can't hold a bucket of water to those powerhouses in the SEC or anywhere else across the country. And it's all foolishness. And now I want to see where we descend, because at some point, the yellow flag is going to land on the other side of the fence. And when it does, I don't want to hear a damn thing from you, Mike Ryan.
Wow. And at some point, if Miami keeps playing how they're playing, they're going to run into Alabama or Georgia. Another, you watch Friday, you think, wow, that's one of the wildest, craziest games I've ever seen. Definitely still goes up as like one of the wildest endings ever to a game. But then you've got Georgia, Bama, 28-0. And I don't know about you, I fired off a tweet saying, like, I've never been impressed with Carson Beck. Is that his Carson? Do I even got it?
Yeah, you were going in on Carson.
Yeah,
you were going in on Carson until it's almost like he saw those tweets, and that might have put a battery in his back.
He got on his phone, saw what Clone Cartel was tweeting, and was like, I'm going to prove them wrong.
Yep. Yeah, ultimately proving you right. But listen, as someone who only tunes into college games for the ones that are worth watching, so basically never any of the Miami ones. I've watched every Colorado game this year.
I was about to say not Colorado UCF though. Not much of a game.
Georgia, Alabama was probably one of my top 5 greatest games of all time viewing, because we've seen across sports, but specifically football, we've seen this scenario in the past countless times. Team goes up insane amount of points in the first half, and we go, wouldn't it be cool if they come back? And then what happens? They don't. What happens? They score a touchdown or two, but ultimately nothing goes the way that we want it to. Except this time, it did.
I turned it off at halftime.
Wow. See, like, and
then I turned it back on with after the Ryan Williams touchdown, Brian, but I didn't see that.
Listen, and you don't, in that game, once those points start piling up in Georgia's favor, you then already expect that game to then be Georgia's. We've seen comebacks happen where the emotions and the mental part start creeping into the team that was winning and is now maybe losing or maybe tied, and then they end up coughing it up at the end, and it goes down as the greatest comeback of all time, whatever. But for them to go out there and go, hold this. Where the hell was that the whole second half? Like, you got Carson Beck goes down there, score with a minute and some change, 2 minutes and some change left, and then y'all answer that immediately. Yeah. So I just, listen, I wasn't one. Hey, more playoff games, the better. Get people out there, get games excited. Dude, bring that. I like that. I was always on the side of that. But with that being said, are you telling me I can possibly get games like this week after week after week in the playoffs by a multitude of teams? And that's not even including what happens when Texas gets in there. Like, it's,
yeah, but
I'm excited for this college.
I 100% agree with you, Brian. I thought that was my big takeaway from Georgia, Alabama, and Lucy said it on the show, like, this absolutely shows, like, regular season going to be ruined. Like, no, college football regular season isn't going to be ruined. Like, there's just,
what's the prognosis for that? Like, why are people saying that?
It's that games don't matter is what people are saying. Like, if it was a 4-team playoff, the result of this game would matter more. Like, if Georgia wanted to make the playoffs now, they would have to run the table in all likelihood to make a 4-team playoff. So that game itself matters more. But I think what you're seeing is, like, it's a crazy game regardless of the fact that, like, is Georgia still going to make the playoffs? Yeah, maybe. Got a strong shot at it. They still got to play, some big teams coming up, but they're probably going to get in.
Is that like a chicken or egg thing? Because in my brain, the games matter more. Because you know what matters? Having a higher seed. You know what matters? That bye. Like, these things matter. Who you go up against matters. So if you all of a sudden drop a game in the first quarter of the season or the first third of the season, and it might come back to bite you, great. But now you know every game beyond that, you have to show up.
Yeah.
Versus you lose this game in the past, then you basically sail the rest of the season and hope for a SEC championship game or whatever, or a fancy bowl, a Pop-Tart bowl,
especially
and you keep it rocking.
In BCS days, like, with a season like this, BCS, it'd be like, see you later, Georgia. Sorry. Like, you're just in the SEC, like, most likely you're done with BCS. Playoff gives that potential. The one flip side I'd say, Brian, is I guarantee you're going to hear some people that first week of the playoff when and you know what? I'm going to predict this. First week of the playoff.
Oh, prediction. What's Nasty Nate's prediction for the first ever 12-team college football playoff?
There will be some clunkers. At least one clunker of a game where somebody gets, like, blown out and everybody's going to be like, see, why are we adding more games to watch this, like, 42 to 14, like, dismantling of a team? There's going to be a clunker, and there's going to be people saying, see, the college football playoff. And then, of course, the next week, what's going to happen? Bangers, Brian, bangers. And everyone's going to be like, oh, this is dope.
In the first ever counter prediction, I'm countering your prediction saying the first week of the college football playoffs are going to be record-breaking memories, miraculous, exciting.
Wow.
barn burner, all the adjectives Stugotz could pull from his sweaty hoodie to describe these games. Look at right here. Look at from 6 to 12. We got Oregon, Penn State, Miami, Missouri, Michigan, USC, Ole Miss, while LSU's on the outside looking in, followed by Notre Dame and Clemson. Any of those teams go up against Georgia, Tennessee, Ohio, Texas, we have legacies versus legacies. This ain't your daddy's number 2 Texas versus TCU who's lucky to be here. This ain't happening. We have full-blown identities going up against each other. And we all know, yeah, the football can sometimes be blah. Blowouts are all over the place. But we're here for college football because of the identities. So whenever you invite more identities into the party, what do you have? An identity fest. And I want to see
identity crisis?
An identity crisis. Listen, imagine if Notre Dame, LSU...
What is college football anymore?
It's everything. It's everything we want it to be if we allow it to be. So I'm stoked for it. I kind of wish it hurry ups. I wish it would hurry up and get here. And I'm interested to see who holds their spot. Because if we can get Mizzou and Ole Miss out of there for LSU and Notre Dame, bro, a playoff involving those teams sounds crazy.
I mean, Ole Miss already showed you they're not sticking around, Brian.
Yeah, but they're still ranked. They're 12, so gotta include them for now.
Mm-hmm.
For now.
Well, you know who's still sticking around in the NFL? That's old Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings. Are they the best team in the NFL? Brian, it looks like you've got a little game for us here.
Yeah. So anyone who knows anything about the professional football league known as NFL, they know how do GMs, front office folks, and coaches approach the season? They break it down in quarters. Us having another game now is going to make that a little goofy, but nonetheless, they still look at it in quarters. 4 games at a time, let's approach it as such. With us being in week 5, that means it's time for our first quarterly assessment. Wow. And if anyone out there has some financial experience, you know what happens during financial quarterly assessments.
What happens,
You simply look at whatever it is that you're sitting to analyze, and you ask, are we in the red zone or in the black? So for those that don't know, which obviously wouldn't, this is the first time we're debuting this game live on Fleb, on the Fan Le Batard Show, the fastest growing Fan Le Batard experience out there. Yeah.
So fast.
Yeah. This game is played like such. We're going to rattle off some teams, and then we, with all of our massive amounts of knowledge, are going to decide, is this team firmly in the red zone? In financial terms, red is bad. Or in the black, which, as y'all should all treat it, black is beautiful, black is positive, black is good. All right? So to start off, my man here wants to dig into Sam Darnold. I know he kind of looks like Sam Darnold with that forehead. Nate, are the Vikings in the red or in the black?
Brian, the Minnesota Vikings are so far into the black, I can't even see them if I squint my eyes at them. Sam Darnold is a revelation, and they're only going to get better, folks. Jordan Addison coming online, this nailer kid, like, they lost KJ Osborne, but that wide receiving core is deep. And did they actually upgrade their backfield with Aaron Jones? Like, all these weapons, it's crazy. Like, this second chance of quarterback, something that as a kid, I don't remember this ever happening, right? But suddenly Geno Smith comes along. Now we got Baker Mayfield. Now we've got Sam Darnold. And the NFL is a place of now second chances for all these quarterbacks. The Vikings are in the black.
The Vikings are in the black. I agree with you. Until we see otherwise, I got to agree with you, which sucks because, I think Sam Darnold is going to Sam Darnold it up. But until that happens, ride it. Now, I need you to sit with me as we ascertain Even though the Chiefs wear that red, are they in fact in the red or in the black? Now, I know. Patrick Mahomes ain't playing like the Patrick Mahomes that we know. Patrick Mahomes is also injuring their wide receivers.
Ouch.
And and the team is beaten up from the top to the bottom. Travis Kelce, although had a Travis Kelce of old game last week, he's been perpetrating as a star tight end throughout the season. That's not the
masquerading.
There we go, masquerading as a star tight end. Who knows why? I'm not here to do that.
Right, yeah.
But I will say we did report before the season started that they were going to have a planned breakup, and just saying. I'm going to say that with all those things considered, the Chiefs are firmly in the black. They're a profitable company. Think about having all these concerns,
surprising me,
all these complaints, all of these issues with a company only for that company. Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, LLC, incorporated, trademarked, copyrighted, to still be 4-0. Imagine this. You cannot have your foot on the throat of the two-time back-to-back Super Bowl winning Chiefs and then not be able to kill him. You got to cut their head off. And if you leave that man a chance to ever win, with Xavier Worthy out there showing week by week that, hey, I'm here, you're not going to be able to stop him. And Kareem Hunt, look at, he went from on the couch to in the end zone. Just saying. I'm firmly putting them in the black.
Brian,
now, Nate. Nate. Don't.
Should I go?
No, Nate. I want you to go up to a place up north. Up to a place where
Whoa,
tables.
Brian, real quick. 10 seconds. The Chiefs are in the red. I think you got to trade high on Patrick Mahomes. He's washed.
No.
If I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm wondering who's he going to hurt next week. You got to trade him. Well, the market's high. People are talking to Devontae Adams. You got these young wide receiver people, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy. You get in a fresh young quarterback because it's the biggest advantage in the NFL. Trade Patrick Mahomes. He's washed. If you keep him on the team, who's he going to end up hurting next week? He's probably going to tackle Kareem Hunt.
I'm going to take him as disrespect.
The rule is you have to agree with anything I say. Okay, we
What
can't
kind of
give
game
mixed
is this?
financial. We can't give
No
mixed
nuance?
financial advice. Yes. Okay. What I need you to do is I need you to hop on your minivan. I need to hop on top of your minivan and surf that bad boy up to upstate New York. And you need to let me know the Buffalo Bills, after dropping a game last weekend, kind of Buffalo Bills fashion, are the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen in his hurt hand in the red or in the black?
In the red, exposed, Brian. Who have the Bills played that are any good? I honestly can't remember every team they played. The Dolphins, we know they suck now. The Ravens, everyone's saying they're a good team. They're 2-2. Record doesn't show it, but some close games. The Bills are in the red because guess what? Josh Allen still doesn't have anybody. His wide receivers are dropping a lot of balls. If they can't catch him, it doesn't matter how well Josh throws them. And you know what you saw the first glimmer of, Brian, which the Le Batard show talks about? It seems like Josh Allen has this magical ability to not get hurt. Josh Allen got rocked on Sunday, and the game changed. Josh Allen just learned he can't do it all. There's some big boys you got to get down and get out of the way. Josh Allen and the Bills are in the red, Brian.
Sounds like they got to work on getting some consultants in there to fix things up. Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I'll bring this up. The week before, the Ravens got out to a healthy lead against my Dallas Cowboys, and then Dak fought back and made the game extremely close. I was waiting for that on Josh Allen. Never came. It never came. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Which then,
Brian, when you look at Texas, one of the biggest states, all these teams, but within it, America's team, your team. I touted them at the start of the season. You touted them at the start of the season. Rocky start. Are the Cowboys in the red or in the black?
taking my cowboy hat off and putting on my professor hat. They are in the black, but by a percentile. By 1%. they are dealing with some injuries, some very serious injuries. DeMarcus Lawrence, injury to his foot. Micah Parsons, high ankle sprain. Brandon Cooks just had an infection that's going to have him out for this game against the Steelers. Effectively, Dak Prescott is out there with himself, CeeDee Lamb, and Fergie Ferguson. What I will say is, going forward, if Dak needs to put this team on his back, Dak, who was robbed of an MVP last year, needs to put this team on his back. If he decides, I got to do it because that's all that's out here, I think we see more Dak like we saw at the end of that Ravens game and less Dak that we saw in the beginning of that Ravens game where he was trying to get the ball to guys you've never heard of. Focus on CD, focus on Ferg, make plays as you got him, Dak. And I'm not too concerned over the next 4 weeks. They have a bye coming up week 7, which we'll revisit this and maybe do whatever. We'll title that when we get there. But I got him in the black for the first 4 weeks, the first quarter, but by 1%.
Yeah, I mean, week 3, they're already in playoff form, right? Going down big, almost coming back. So, black.
Speaking of black, one of the most promising black quarterbacks out there is a young rookie by the name of Jaden Daniels. Now, Jaden Daniels was being touted as the beautiful Diana Rossini told us. Some teams were looking at him as the better pick compared to Caleb Williams coming into this draft. Alas, we know what happened, but could it be that this stumbling onto Jaden Daniels, Jaden Daniels, could this wonderful matrimony between him and the chocolate city of Washington, D.C., could this be something that has us looking like Commanders are here to stay? First 4 weeks, though, first quarter, are the Commanders in the red or the black, Nate?
Brian, if I'm looking at my football financial health, I'm seeing these Commanders, which everyone's telling you they're in the black. They're in the red, Brian. This is what Cliff Kingsbury does. He starts out good. Everyone's like, oh, Cliff Kingsbury, right? They're going to figure it out. Sure. Jaden Daniels here could he set a record? I don't know with his completion percentage, but look at that ADOT. It's at like 6. He's like almost dead last in the league, if not dead last in his average depth of target. Sure, they're winning, but again, who are they playing? The Bengals. Bengals always suck at the start of the year. If this was Bengals end of the season, sure. But no, they're in the red, Brian. Sell high. Make your money now. Get off of them.
So you're hitting us with a little bit of a future forecast. They're in the red. Listen, I'm hating, but I kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you. Whenever we see someone tout the percentage numbers of a quarterback, there's not many numbers that are below the rankings of how we represent quarterbacks. Wins, touchdowns to interceptions, yards. Percentage is like down here somewhere. That's like telling me you're an okay person, but you show up on time every day. No, I need you to be awesome while you're here. And I'm afraid that we're going to see him regress a little bit back towards the average. So I'm with you. Yeah. You know who I'm not with, though?
Who?
Fly, Eagles, fly. Philadelphia, they haven't been looking the same. And I think they're the perfect capsulation for this game of red or black. I think they're firmly in the red. We've been telling everyone who's listened to the show for a while now, the Eagles have problems. Jalen Hurts, there's something wrong with him. Some people say he has a game or two. No, we have a 27 turnover sample. This boy has had turnovers in 12 games in a row, 27 over the course of the last 2 years. Don't fact check me, just believe me. And when that is what's driving your team, the engine to your team, while also installing a complicated and sometimes confusing offense every year in Kellen Moore, not only are they in the red, but we could be looking at a COO on his way out.
True. And
now quickly, I got 3 for you.
3 for
red or black. You got 10 seconds each. This is the rundown. The Jets, red or black?
red, Brian. They're the Jets. If you ever thought they were black, you should get yourself checked. And Aaron Rodgers has been in the red for a long time, and I've been telling you that.
Does anyone look worse when they're losing than him? Just
Nobody.
Facially, it's bad. The Bengals, red or black?
Black. You trust in Joey B.
Wow. Okay. And lastly, the Dolphins, red or black?
Red, dude. I don't know about you, but the one takeaway that I got from Hard Knocks when they showed the Dolphins is I was like, this McDaniels guy kind of comes across fraudulent, and he looks
Even
that way.
Even the show that brings us together is starting to turn on him. Now, speaking of turning, that brings us to our next game. DavantYAAYY or DavantNAAYY? He's on the trade block, supposedly. Antonio Pierce is liking Instagram posts of him being somewhere else and playing his last down in Las Vegas. I still want to say Oakland sometimes. Las Vegas. There are 4 possible landing spots I want to chop up with you. Nasty Nate. Give me a DavantYAAYY or DavantNAAYY over these next 4 possible landing spots. You heard it here. It makes no sense to skip them, but we got to mention them. A reunion with his buddy in the Meadowlands. Davante Adams going to the Jets.
DavantNAAYY. If I'm DavantNAAYY, I'm saying nay to reuniting with Aaron Rodgers. He's got nothing left in the tank, and you're going to be once again just left to wander in a franchise that has shown time and time again they don't have what it takes to create a winning team. So, no, you don't want to go there.
Agreed. Let that old thing go. It didn't work, and yeah, do what you got to do. Do the Chiefs replenish their receiving weapons with a move for Davante? What are you, DavantYAAYY or DavantNAAYY?
DavantNAAYY, Brian. They don't have the money for it, and quite frankly, again, if I'm DavantYAAYY, I'm saying don't send me to that man. He's going to hurt me bad. So, right. Patrick Mahomes, if I'm a wide receiver right now, Patrick Mahomes is the last quarterback I want throwing the ball. That's what I'm going to say. If I'm a wide receiver, Patrick Mahomes is the last quarterback that I want to play with. Last one.
So speaking of quarterbacks that are hurt or like to hurt people or things or whatever, the Buffalo Bills, they got rid of Stephon Diggs. Could they be looking at powering up that beaten and sometimes confusing offense in Buffalo?
DavantYAAYY, send me there. That's what I'm saying. I know I can catch. That's what Davante is saying. Get me there, and suddenly Josh Allen doesn't have to worry about having to do everything himself.
Okay. All right. Now, the team that struck out on obtaining a star wideout to help their young and old quarterbacks this year were the Pittsburgh Steelers. They struck out on Brandon Ayuk, even though there were a lot of talks up to the draft and beyond that where they could have got that done. Do they jump back in the fray and get themselves an all-pro wideout in DavantYAAYY or DavantNAAYY?
DavantYAAYY. Like, this is a Steelers team. You're 3-1. You got to do everything you can to try and stay on top of that division and getting that weapon. And Mike Tomlin, you want to play for a coach who's shown time and time again that he can maximize what he gets out of players. DavantYAAYY.
I like that. I like all your choices, and they all make sense. And really, the biggest thing is going to be money.
Especially the Chiefs one, Brian. Especially the Chiefs one.
The biggest thing is going to be money. And to your point, I think the Chiefs are up against the wallet situation as well. That's the reason why I didn't include my Cowboys, because, money is money. Now, we've seen players all across and it seems to be star players this year, get injured left and right. We got Tua, who we all know what's going on with Tua. Hopefully he heals up and makes a good decision. We got Micah Parsons just most recently. We got Rashee Rice. We got Christian McCaffrey, who effectively don't even – he might not have legs anymore. We don't know what's going on with Christian McCaffrey. But word on the street is once you got to go to Germany –
Christian.
Yeah, more like missing. Now, let me ask you this, Nate.
McMissing.
What's going on with these injuries this year? Do they seem more impactful? And if so, who do they seem to be impacting the most? The Dolphins, don't include them because it's still the Dolphins, right? They wouldn't have done anything anyway.
It hasn't seemed any more out of the ordinary than me. Like, I saw that McCaffrey alert of like, oh, dealing with calf issues at the start of the season as I was doing all my DraftKings best ball drafts, which FYI, guys, I'm getting rocked in all things DraftKings. And as just a little side note, they changed the prize payout in the listener league to where now only the top 20 people can win. And it's like, I want to play in the listener league, but I might as well be like setting my cash on fire, hoping that out of 600 people, I can place in like the top 20 out of all that.
What was it previously?
Previously, I think maybe I missed it maybe it's been that way this whole entire season, but I thought starting week 3 and week 4, it changed to only the top 20 people getting paid. I thought before that it was their normal payout structure for like, it's something like maybe the top 20% get paid. You got to finish in the top 20%. So I don't remember like what the exact numbers
were.
The
number changes based on how many people enter.
But now now maybe they did it to only 20 because of the fact that they never got to like 1,000, but they always
got you.
They just have adjusted it anyway. But anyway,
I think I've seen Billy. I think Billy might have mentioned something about that on the show over the course of the last couple of days about the payout scale being changed.
And I don't know. I don't know if you've ever seen this because you're in the listener league, right? I mean, aren't you? You're like are you at the top? No, you're not.
No, I don't gamble, bro.
So there's
I work too hard for my money.
There's a number, like the number one person at the top of the league is like a B green.
I'm denying all involvement, and to further our run and talk on injuries, Dolphins standout pass rusher Jalen Phillips announced he suffered a season-ending injury Monday night, and he's shutting it down. Hopes to return in 2025. So the injury bug.
Way. That one sucks. Like I told you, I watched Hard Knocks. Like the even bigger takeaway is like, man, Jalen Phillips, that sucks, and that really sucks to hear that. Already he's out again.
It seems like every year with the Dolphins, once they reach the point of going, this ain't our year, you start seeing specifically defensive players kind of just go, all right, season. And we saw it with Jalen Ramsey. Odell Beckham probably won't ever play. We don't know what's going on with him. Xavier Howard when he used to be good. Like I don't know what's going on down there, and maybe Dan will blame it on the Heat. Now the Heat, we're switching gears here. Although they're an amazing basketball team in South Florida, the Heat are also an NBA franchise who are on the outs on all these players moving around the NBA over the past year. The NBA has been quiet. It's coming back this month. I think October is the best month for sports. With that being said, there's been some big news that dropped in the NBA since the last time we spoke. And that is the moving of one cat. Yes, the big purr from Minnesota, the Twin Lakes, back to the Mecca, to the New York Knicks in a trade for Dante DiVincenzo, Julius Randle, all-star Julius Randle, All-NBA. I think he had one All-NBA Julius Randle, and I believe a pick or two. What's your thoughts on this move? Does it do anything for the Knicks?
Wasn't it DiVincenzo too? Did I?
Yeah, he was the first guy I said.
Oh, okay.
White privilege. White is all right. Do you think the Knicks got any better with this move? And do you think it matters? And also, how about Cat changing his name from the Big Purr to Bodega Cat?
Brian, the Knicks got better, but at what cost?
Ooh.
At what cost? You had a city rally around this beautiful idea. The idea that I think we all dream about in sports. That you aren't the most talented team. You're not the best team. But you're the hardest working team. You're the team with the best chemistry. And you've got that special spark that somehow you turn it on. And it doesn't matter that you're the most talented people. There's an energy that's present in the building when you play. The fans can feel it, and you do something amazing that people can't explain other than these guys just have a chemistry. There's something about them that when they get together, they play better. So did they get better? Sure. But Karl Anthony Towns, what has he ever done? Make it to the Western Conference Finals and act like he's arrived only to get completely like dismissed by the Dallas Mavericks. Sorry, it doesn't matter how many different ways you want to change your name, Karl Anthony Towns. You still haven't shown me anything that you know what it takes to win a title. What do you think, Brian?
I think Bodega Cat is going to find himself in a place where he's loved until he isn't. And I don't know how he's going to handle that. I know the lights in Minnesota aren't that bright. You know, the Aurora Borealis kind of just shimmers. But them lights in New York is different. And he seems to be someone who at times is a bit reactive with his emotions. And I just hope that they come for management and not for Cat. But if I know anything, they going to get that cat out of here like it's a junkyard and they the dog pound, because that's how the media is in New York. I will say it has been reported that Dante DiVincenzo was actually unhappy in New York and not as into the Nova Boys thing as it's been advertised. So, you know, there could be some rumors to that, some truth to that, and that could also mean that maybe the rest of the guys in there aren't really bought in. Maybe it was a Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart kind of showing, hey, we run things here. Y'all kind of just move with us, and he didn't like that. Remember, that's Wade Dante. He moves a little bit different. He
sure does.
Moves a little bit different. We have baseball to talk about begrudgingly.
Yeah.
Have we ever discussed who's your baseball team?
I don't have a favorite baseball team. At one point, I was like, maybe I'll like the Milwaukee Brewers because I like to pick random teams, but I don't follow baseball enough. If I had to pick a favorite team, it would be the Marlins just because of the Le Batard show. They're the team that I check on like the most and want them to do well, but I wouldn't even say like, oh, they're my team. Like, I don't have a baseball team.
Okay, I'm a Yankees fan.
Oh. Cowboys, Yankees.
Don't do that. My pops is a Yankees fan. I'm a Yankee fan. All right, relax. Anywho, since we don't clear about baseball here, I'll make sure I chime in with a minute of baseball every week we talk to further discuss playoff predicaments and what's going on in the postseason, because I'm a Yankee fan that don't start watching baseball until October. So, typical Yankees fan. That's me. Let's go Yankees. Sign Juan Soto. Let's go. Let's go Yankees. Pinstripes. Yay!